Well, welcome to another episode of the Justice Plan TV and podcast show, where we bring you exciting and unconventional wedding experiences from around the world and some of the best expert insights we can find. I'm your host and professional wedding MC, Nathan Cassar, and this episode we have a true event maestro in the studio. His name is Glenn Mackay, the creative genius behind Brisbane's award-winning G&M Event Group. Now, Glenn doesn't just meet expectations. He absolutely exceeds them. He combines MCing, DJing, and lighting to create receptions that guests never forget. He's the driving force behind G&M Event Group's innovation. If you have a spectacular event dream, Glenn will make it a reality. But who is exactly G&M Event Group? They are not your average DJ and AV company. Their award-winning team is always pushing boundaries. What sets them apart? Talented DJs and MCs, cutting-edge lighting, top-notch AV, and innovative event design. They truly are the event masters who turn dreams into reality. Today, Glenn will reveal the secrets behind crafting unforgettable receptions, including the magic of lighting and AV, something often forgotten about but has a massive impact to the guest experience. He also explained how a DJ and MC can play a crucial role in starting a party and keeping it going all night long, and sharing insights into creating wow moments with special effects. Plus, we'll dive ahead into staying on top of the game with fresh event ideas that will make your wedding truly memorable. Get ready for insights, inspiration, and a peek behind the event curtain. Glenn, welcome to the show. How you going?
Good. What an intro. Jeez, I've got a lot to live up to now. God.
No, kidding me? I'm certain you have done far surpassing intros on stage than I could ever muster here. So, but thank you. You're very kind. I was just talking to you, obviously, before we show started. If you're watching on our video, you'll notice the plethora of very fancy, shiny plaques behind Glenn on the screen in his office. For some people who may not be aware of them, obviously, apart from wanting to share people how amazingly award-winning you are as a team, do you mind telling the folks exactly what that award is and where that comes from?
So the ARBIA awards up here, these are our state awards that we've been involved with ARBIA, the awards system ARBIA since 2012 was the first year that we won an award, and we have a great.
You don't want to know how old I was in 2012. That's
yeah,
for sure. I was in second year of university.
I was like, oh my god. So yeah, look, we work very hard to it, and it's not something that's the most important thing to us, but to me, I think they're a great award system. I think ARBIA do great things for the industry, and I think they have a very well put together and morally sound platform for their award system. So that's why kind of we do that one, and whatever else comes on. There's other awards that we do and we've won and stuff, but those ones feel like they're more important for some reason. I can't explain why.
No, I totally resonate with you there. And I think particularly when you said about them being sort of morally right, I highlight them, obviously, apart from just letting our audience know how great of a team you are. And obviously the support, the reason why you have them is because so many couples have rated you so highly. So definitely anyone in Southeast Brisbane alone should be definitely considering getting in touch with your team. But more importantly, that it's a representation of dedication to your craft and to what you've brought, and to be so consistently rated so well. There's obviously a lot of secrets you have to divulge to us all today. So on the back of that, I wanted to start about something that, as I said in the intro, a lot of people don't talk about often. I find myself personally because I'm a professional stage manager as well on the side, and I've built shows and been a part of sort of the back end of how a back of house show operation. So I really appreciate and resonate with your emphasis on making sure that the lighting and AV is part of the event. Yes, weddings at the end of the day are a big event, is part of your planning process. So how do these elements contribute to creating unforgettable receptions, and why are they often underestimated in the wedding planning process?
Yeah, I think I'll answer the last bit first, which is why they're underestimated, and that's because you generally don't see what they do. It's the same with every element of our business: DJs, MCs, lighting design, special effects. It's not like a wedding cake or a wedding dress where you can go to the wedding cake shop, see a picture of the cake or see the cake, or you can see the dress, you can try the dress on, you know exactly what you're getting with it. Whereas with special effects, lighting design, you don't see the light, right? You don't, but you see the effect of the light. So cakes is probably the biggest example of this that I can give you is when you go into a cake shop to pick out your wedding cake, it is beautifully lit. There's fluorescent lights in the ceiling, LED lights, whatever, that are just the right temperature of light, just the right brightness so that it's not throwing shadows. It's just there. There's a lot that goes into creating that moment in the cake shop. And then you take that cake, you get it delivered to your wedding reception. And you also go and look at that cake in the daytime. So the sunlight coming in from the outside. And then you take that cake, you know, you could spend, God, it's the most expensive cake people buy in their life, right? So they take that cake, say $1,000 cake, which is far from abnormal. It might sound crazy to anyone who's not planned a wedding, but it's far from abnormal. And they go put it on the table, which is wherever the venue decided to stick that. And it's usually not lit the same at all. It's darker. We're mood lighting, there's candlelight, and that cake, that $1,000 cake, most expensive cake you've ever bought in your life, now just drifts into the background. People don't pay attention. And when I talk to couples and I ask them, you know, do you remember the cake from the weddings you've been to? And they're like, they just roll the blank look on their face, and they're like, because they just realized exactly the point I'm trying to get across to them, which is we've just spent $1,000 on a cake and no one's going to see it. It's the most expensive wedding decoration a lot of people have. And so by lighting it up, and there's different ways that our lighting designers do that so that there's not shadows, so that it's not weird looking, it just kind of pops nicely so that as you look around the room, you take in the elements. It's like, oh, and there's the cake. Oh, wow, there's the cake. And the other elements that come into play is it makes the photos and video of that cake look a little bit better as well, which is one of the things that lighting is designed to do, is to make things look better and also to draw focus to things or away from things. So, you know, with your background on cruise ships and shows and stage managing, you sometimes want to put attention somewhere or you want to take it away from somewhere, right? So if you've ever been to a Cirque du Soleil show, this is probably the best example of it that I can think of, where the clowns are kind of messing with some audience members often in the start. Like if you've been to a Vegas version, especially, because they've obviously got theaters deliberately built for this. And so you're looking over to the side because the clown's escorting someone to their wrong seat or something. But that's because they don't want you to look up on the stage because they're moving something or something's happening there. They want you to focus down in this other section. And that happens throughout the entirety of a Cirque du Soleil show as well. If you've ever, especially if you've seen O at Bellagio, it's a fantastic example of this, because magic happens and you don't know unless you know, unless you kind of know where to look. And it's the same for a wedding. Like, we don't want to highlight the fire exit or the fire extinguisher. That's usually what you want to hide, even though you're not allowed. But you know, we want to make sure that those things are visible when we need them visible, and invisible when we don't need them visible.
Couldn't agree with you more. I've had the pleasure of having a few weddings, most recently in particular, that I can remember, that I was working with a really crack team of AV and lighting engineers, and we had an entire rig at our disposal, and there was a real emphasis that I encouraged the couple to allow me to work with them to code out some fantastic moments throughout the night. And absolutely, as you describe, you know, we were able to transition from, like, they had an electric violinist, one of the best I've worked with, and she was featured with these ballerinas at the start. And what would have been sad is if, you know, they were just sort of there, you know, just doing their thing and performing. You'd pay some attention because it's a bit of a spectacle, but you wouldn't really pay attention unless during the entrance, before I came out to present to the audience, I had all the lights off, except for maybe 5-10% house lights, maybe less. And I had like a proper spotlight from 4 angles on the violinist from the top down. And then allowing for that as I came into the picture and the ballerinas were going around her, that entire, say, 5-meter radius of a circle was just the focal point for about a minute and a half as she performed, really showing people that the night started. And I think it's moments like that people say, oh, yes, I remember the entrance. Yes, I remember when the cake was there, because of all those little subtleties. So I can really appreciate you guys being a vanguard of that moving forward in this industry, and sort of being at the forefront of that, because it's definitely something that I love to work with, and I get excited by when couples say they're going to be bringing those elements. sort of, you mentioned sort of as you're talking with couples and you're you giving them advice and so forth. What is the first piece of advice that you give them when you sit down with them? So they've inquired with you and they're like, look, we know, Glenn, that you're an incredibly talented and well experienced individual in this industry. What is like your number one first go to as you begin the planning process with them?
I think, like for me personally, it's just asking a bunch of questions, and those questions are designed to see how I can best serve them, but also to help them identify what it is they want to create. Because so many couples, their experience planning a wedding is so limited. It's typically their friend or a few friends or their sister or brother, whoever it is that's had a wedding previously, or maybe their mum from however many years ago, or
Yeah.
whatever, wedding magazines or wedding websites have told them, which is typically, like, I don't want to stereotype, but it's generally rubbish. It's got nothing to do with the reception and the fun part of it. It's usually to do with, this is 400 pictures of dresses and this is why you should have a teal colored wedding or whatever. It's not about the couple. And for me, it's asking questions that help them identify what's important to them and what is going to make a wedding celebration, because our main focus is on the reception, which is a celebration. It's not a dinner party. It's not a reception. Sounds boring as hell. It's a celebration, right? Otherwise we wouldn't be there. So what I want them to kind of discover is when they look back at this in 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, when they're planning their children's weddings, helping them, is like, what are you going to look back at and go, wow, that was our wedding. We were so proud of that day. Because that's what couples want. They don't know how to plan this event. They've never planned one before typically, and they're planning it for other people to enjoy. So just by asking a series of questions, and there's no kind of set, this. It's like they go, oh, well, I want to have a wedding that everyone dances. I'm like, okay, why is that? And it's just like the why question comes in more than anything, because and sometimes it's like, well, we went to this one wedding and it was awesome and we danced the whole night. And I'm like, hey, why did you dance all night? Oh, the music was killer. And they don't necessarily remember the other elements that maybe led to that, because music is one element that can make people dance.
True.
One of the things currently in summer in Australia is the heat, right? Anyone who's been out at weddings in the last few months, or any summer in Australia, why we have, ceremonies at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in summer in Australia. Outside, I don't know, but we do. And so
And I've lived through them, and I still will.
Yeah. By the time we get to the reception, it's 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, and the dance floor's pumping. People are exhausted. They've been wearing a suit or a heavy wedding dress all day, or any dress or whatever. They're exhausted. So all these things play into, if you want a packed dance floor, prioritize that. If you want amazing photos, prioritize that. If you want to get married, in a specific location, prioritize that, and talk to your suppliers about how you can make that better. If packing your dance floor is more important, then talk to your entertainment about, how can we do this? How can we build a timeline for our day that's going to kind of walk guests into that? It's not a case of, okay, we've got to 8:30, we've got 3 hours now, dance. You don't go from 0 to 100 really quickly. It builds, and any entertainer will tell you that it's about the build. A packed dance floor starts, during canapes for a DJ. That's where you start building it.
100%. And as an MC, I can speak also for that. It's the connections that I'm creating, as we go along in the canapes, all the way through to the entrance. So that sets the tone, and then just keeping people engaged more and more and more. I always tell my couples that it's like the night should be going like this. You get your boring stuff done, speeches and stuff, and you get your more and more exciting stuff happening to get to that apex point in the night, and then to keep people there engaged as much as possible. And you're right, it isn't just 0 to 100, slam the brakes. Okay, cool, we've done our formalities, put music on, expect this flood to come to the dance floor. It's just not possible. So it's great that you walk people through that process, and the whys are really something that's a great takeaway from what you just said. Speaking of sort of, you're known in the industry for being really at the cutting edge, and innovation is a big part of the reason why GM Event Group has been so successful. What are some fresh trends and ideas that you have been implementing recently and that you believe will begin to take hold in the coming years to come that will help to really shape the way weddings are moving forward in Australia?
Well, for us, we network a lot outside of the country, especially in the US, who seem to always be a little bit ahead of us. So we often see things coming before, like here, they're there before they're here, and sometimes they're not always the vibe that we want to be involved with, but sometimes they are, and we can jump on that trend a little bit earlier than some people. So it seems like we're ahead of the game. We're just sort of cheating a little bit, I guess. But to me, like the biggest thing I've seen in the last few years, and it's growing more and more, is guest experience. It's less about look at me as a bride and groom, or groom and groom, bride and bride. Most of my couples that come to me are like, look, we don't want to be the center of attention, but we want our guests to have a good night. We're working with some people with an event. It's actually 21st birthday party, and they're not showy people. But this 21st birthday party will be one of the biggest events that we ever do in our company as far as our involvement. So they've got interactive media walls, and we're helping them with that. And we're doing, different dance floors in different spaces, DJs, jazz bands. We've got Voice of God MC stuff that I'll have to probably do. But, creating, and what we spoke to it's the dad that's organizing this. We spoke to him and we've got to hit as many of those five senses as we can. So we spoke about the catering. Where's that going to be? Where's the smell from that going to go? What flavors do we want to be, giving people to work in with the theme, which is it's a birthday party for twins. So the theme is Twinchella, like Coachella for twins, right?
That's really cool.
Yeah. So we sat down and we were there for ages, just going through these ideas. How can we hit, sight, touch, smell, all these different things? And, if we couldn't get the catering to do the way we want to, can we bring in a scent machine which puts out an aroma?
Oh, I love this. I love it so much.
What are these different visuals we can create? And so when you create unique experiences, things become memorable. Okay, so I can, all through the weddings we've done over the years, I remember the things that were unique. No one remembers generic. And when I see couples go, how much is the average price of a photographer? I'm like, well, you don't want an average photographer. You think you do, but you don't. You want a photographer that's going to capture your wedding or your event in the way that you like. So how much is that photographer? Meet with them, chat with them, find out how much they cost. Because that's the price of what you want rather than average. And so all these things sort of come into play. It's like creating experiences, and it's about that guest experience. So for a lot of my wedding couples, it's about, I want my guests to have fun. That's something that always comes across. And I'm like, cool. So what's fun for you? What's fun for your friends and family? And they're like, oh, we did this thing once. I'm like, cool. How can we incorporate that at your wedding? And it's not just, okay, well, what if we spend, $20,000 on fireworks? It's like, okay, we can if that's important to you, or and I'll always have an option for them. I'll say, what if we? Oh my God, there's a million options. We had a wedding. One of my most memorable weddings was this couple, and it wasn't a big wedding. It was probably only 50 or 60 people, and they had a musician playing for canapes. They had pre-ceremony drinks, and so pre-ceremony drinks where all the guests gathered, and during that we handed out some little. Oh my God! It's a working office today.
Oh, you're clearly popular. People are hearing it right now, and they're like, "That's someone listening right now." Going, "Oh my God, I want that for my wedding so bad."
I don't even know how to make it stop. It'll go away soon. So during the ceremony, the pre-ceremony, what we did is we handed out these little shakers and these little drums, triangles. Sorry, not drums, triangles. And the triangles and little shakers. So half the guests got triangles, half the guests got shakers. And the purpose behind this is the couple were not a look at me couple. They rocked up at we said, okay, everyone, we're coming out. We're going to go to the ceremony. We guided them outside the room that they were in. and out the front was the couple, and people were like, "What's going on? What's going on?" So we had to direct them. I said, "Okay, follow the bride and groom," and they followed the bride and groom, and we had a bit of music playing in the background, which it's actually a song from the London Olympics way back in the day, but the guests, it didn't even have to really guide them. They just knew because they'd been learning this song on the shaker and on the triangle, and they followed the couple. So the couple walked down the aisle. It was about 100 meters to the ceremony, but the guests just followed them like Pied Pipers, and they started playing their little shakers and they started playing the triangle, and it added to the music. So not only were they doing this unique thing around walking behind the bride and groom to the ceremony, but it was also, they were playing them down the aisle. They were playing them with the triangle and the shaker, and when they got to their seats, it was all laid out nicely, and it was just one. And that wedding I could talk about for hours, because every element we worked with them to create a unique experience for their guests, and when the guests are involved, they remember it. So.
Oh, I absolutely, undeniably. I mean, it's a pillar of my presentation and my ethos, just as much as I know as yours, to ensure that the real point of difference for any forgettable and unforgettable wedding, being as blunt as that really is immersion and guest experience that really does transcend the average and the norm. And it's little touch points like that obviously, as you said, you can talk about it for hours about this wedding, and I'm sure you could. I'd love to hear more about it offline, just simply because I can imagine how many little things that the guests probably didn't actually realize was taking place, just as much as the more overt things like the instruments and walking down with them. But all of it as a sum total had a massive impact on the mindset, the energy, the vibe, and of course the lasting memories that occurred. I honestly have not felt more inspired to just pack up bags and go move to Brisbane so I can do these amazing events with you, because what I love is that you're showing the industry that, and also couples, of course, most importantly, that they can ask more questions than simply the standard checkbox, the tick list that you get on, Facebook, ads and stuff like that. You're actually really saying, what is it that we can do that means something to you, that can really stick in the minds of people, that your guests can feel like they're a part of the experience, and at the end of it all, feel like it's something that it's worthy, shouting to the hilltops about. I just absolutely love that.
It's a creative journey that you've got to take them on, and not everyone wants to go on it, and that's okay. Not everyone's your client. I always say we have the best clients because they allow us to work with their ideas and make them better, because they don't have always the greatest ideas. Most of the really amazing things we've done, and I won't go into them because I'll be here all day, but they're because the couple came to us with something that was like, okay, and then we explained to them why elements will suck, and then we made it better. And then usually, well, I can't think of a time it hasn't, but once we explained why it's not going to be perfect and what we can do to make it better, they're like, oh my God, I love that so much more. And it's like, and they get excited. And when couples are excited for their wedding, and every couple should be excited. I always say, couples, if you're not excited when you book one of your suppliers, you shouldn't be booking them. Like that supplier should be so excited to get to work with you. And regardless of if that supplier, if you're their only wedding for the year, or if that people do like 500 weddings a year, if they're not excited for you, don't get involved with that. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I yes, I couldn't. Yes, I could add a lot more too, but we're running out of time. But I totally 100% agree with you that I say you should buy from a human being, first and foremost, someone that you can connect with, but more importantly, that you are establishing that really tangible relationship with, that you're going to grow as a journey, not just, we've got this sorted, we've got that sorted. I mean, that's nice, but yes, there should be definitely that level of excitement, engagement on your behalf. And there are a lot of us out there like yourself and I who really, really are that. Look, we're running out of time, but I do have, we're ending our episodes this season with a couple of rapid fires. I promise I'm sure you'll survive as a professional MC as well. So let's start with, I've got 3 questions for you. I'll start with 1. What is the most amount of weddings your company's ever done in 1 year? What's your record?
We do not just weddings, but I think it was around 1,300 events in a year, ranging from weddings to all sorts of parties and corporates and stuff, but usually around 2/3 of weddings.
Wow.
We have a big team. It's not just me, trust me. I get to take credit and go off and pick up awards, but I have amazingly talented people in our team. So yeah, I'm very blessed.
Very nice. Excellent. Number 2, if you weren't doing this job, you'd never gone down this route at all, and events and everything else in between, never had this company built, what would you have done in life?
I would have been a lawyer. I studied law at university, and I would have gone down that path. And I just, as it got closer to that thing happening, I decided that it wasn't the best fit for me. But it would have been, I'd be running my own business in some capacity, I think, for sure.
Excellent. And number 3, if when you're not doing all of your 1,300 weddings and events a year, what are you doing in your spare time?
My secret passion or secret skill, whatever you want to call it, like outside of family stuff, like I have an amazing wife and 2 great kids, and a lot of my time is spent with them, whether it's taking them to school or helping them with this, that, or the other. It's that, but my secret like skill, passion, hobby is travel hacking. I love flying at the front of the plane, and I can't afford to pay to fly at the front of the plane. So I love hacking that. And yeah, anyone who's connected with me on Facebook will probably see some travel this year and last year that I didn't pay full price for. So.
Nice. Okay, I guess people have to follow you closely for that as well. Well, Glenn, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have such an enigmatic individual such as yourself to join the show. I'm really confident that our listeners and our couples out there have been inspired to ask just the one fundamental question of why are they doing the things that they would want to accomplish, and that sort of journey is going to open up so many more doors. And I really just love that you are representing this new way of looking at events and weddings in the country. So I commend you. I genuinely would love to collaborate with you at some point, because I feel like we'd make even bigger magic happen. But in the meantime, I'm just pleased that you've been on the show today and giving your time. So thank you so much.
No worries. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Just As Planned Wedding Podcast. Please like and subscribe to let me know that you want more videos just like this one. And of course, please follow us on our socials at Just As Planned Wedding on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more expert insights to help your wedding go just as planned.